Hello and welcome to our reflection this Tuesday, the 22nd of December. We continue our theme of our O antiphons, and today it's O Orion, or O rising star. The reading: O Orion, bright of the everlasting light and Son of righteousness, come and enlighten them that sit in darkness and in the shadow of death. Now, during our some time we spent back in Cape Town last year, we had forgotten that certain parts of the country experience purposeful power outages. Back in South Africa, they call it load shedding, which at first happened when least expected. At least now, lately, people have a kind of indication when it's about to happen. So you could be prepared then to dispel your fumbling around in the darkness of your home by preparing the oil lamps and the candles and the gas lamps for any such eventuality of the lights going out. You see, in our lives, we are so accustomed, aren't we, to keeping darkness at bay that it is hard for us to connect to a visceral level of what darkness meant in the ancient world. Artificial light has blurred the distinction between day and night. And then the hours of darkness retain something of that unknown, chaotic character of the first darkness of Genesis. And with the night came vulnerability and insecurity, isolation and danger from wild animals. Except for the small light shed by a lamp or fire, the darkness could not be pushed back and the day could not be hurried. When our Advent readings, when we have a look at them carefully, particularly from the book of Isaiah, they use the language of darkness, and this experience is what they are evoking. Isaiah writes to the people invaded and subjugated by a foreign power and taken into exile in Babylon. They are people that was harmed and hurt terribly. Life there was precarious, vulnerable, and lived at the mercy of foreign rulers. When Isaiah talks about darkness, he does not mean a cozy winter evening with nothing much to do by sitting by the fireside, but an experience of disorientation, vulnerability, and helplessness. Turning his gaze upward and then down to earth, there will be only anguish, gloom, confusion of night, swirling darkness. For is not everything dark as night for the country in distress? He asks. Goodness knows, we all still, today, in our modern world, experience such darkness, don't we? So in this Adventide, instead of watching the news, which in many instances are the bearers of dark things, what do? Well, some of us, we turn to watch Strictly Come Dancing instead, whirling us around the dance floor of artificial sources of warmth and light. And many of us cling to such sources of hope. Well, if it works for you, well, use it. However, as you do, recall the one true source of light, and that is Jesus, known as the light of the world. Adventide, hope, brings with a long, hard look into the darkness, a look like the prophet Isaiah does not shrink from seeing how bad things really are, because he knows that the Son of Light will soon enter the world of darkness and will be the true rising sun to all of us. And in our world, it's already beginning to start, in that many people already receiving the vaccine against the coronavirus. And surely that is a sign of hope, which brings light into our world, still darkened by the many deaths caused. Nonetheless, dear friends, let O Oriens, O rising sun, become the watchword of hope for today. I greet you and I bless you with God's loving light. And I pray God's blessing on you, that you may keep well and stay safe this Adventide here from Bromley.